Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of this podcast, Amelia Proclaims Liberty. I am your host, Amelia Ball. I am so thrilled and excited today to be sitting here recording my first podcast episode. This podcast has been a dream of mine for about 5 years now. I remember during the COVID pandemic and all those months to follow, I was listening to a lot of podcasts. And I believe the Lord planted in my heart at that time a dream to start my own podcast. But it was never the right time. And I believe God used that time of waiting to really cultivate the vision for what He wants this podcast to be about. So you're probably wondering who I am. Well, I am 25 years old, which makes me in Generation Z. And by the way, I am very proud of that. Some of you may be surprised at hearing me say that because my generation gets a lot of flack for a lot of things, and in many ways, rightfully so. We're a mess in a lot of ways. But there is a vision and a passion in my generation that is palatable. I believe that we have observed our own generation and generations past, and we finally realize that it's not working and there has got to be something better. So I am proud that my generation seems to be seeking truth in this time, and a lot of them are coming to Jesus. I am also a conservative young woman, and most importantly, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I was blessed to be raised in a Christian conservative home where my mom taught me to assess everything in life through the lens of God's Word. She taught me how to have a biblical worldview. She taught me about Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who paid the penalty of sin that I deserved to pay. She led me to faith in Jesus Christ. Now, you may be thinking to yourself right now, oh, well, that explains it. That explains why you're conservative, why you follow Jesus, because that's what you were taught your whole life. You're just doing it because that's what your mom taught you. And yes, she did teach me that. I owe her everything. But that is not the only reason that I follow Jesus, and that's not the only reason that I am conservative. I went through a lot of hard things in my life as well. God has taught me a lot. He has used the trials and struggles and doubts and insecurities in my life to draw me to Him and to prove that He can be trusted, that He is the way and the truth and the life. I have tasted and I have seen that the Lord is good and that He is trustworthy. And I praise His holy name for the things that He's done in my life to prove this to me. So I am a follower in Jesus because I trust Him. I am a follower in Jesus because I have chosen this path for myself. Even though I was raised to follow Jesus, I had to come into a time and a place where I made that decision for myself. And I did, and I would choose it over and over again. And yes, I am conservative. So you're also probably thinking, well, you hold to conservative views because that's the way you were raised. And I was raised that way, thank the Lord. I believe that conservative values line up most closely to God's Word. And we are going to dive into all of those issues on this podcast, and I will share my insights with you. Why did I start this podcast? Because I want to share the things that I have learned and that God has taught me and that I have learned from history and politics with you. I don't think I know everything or my opinion is always right. I just hope to share the things that I have learned and been taught to you. Throughout my whole life, I have loved history. And I have loved learning about politics. I mean, I was that little girl that fell asleep at night reading a book about the US presidents instead of princesses. I was that little girl who loved reading books about crazy laws in the United States. I was that little girl who loved learning about the founding of America. And yes, I was that little girl that debated my friends about Barack Obama. Maybe what I have described is the complete opposite of you. Maybe you weren't raised in a Christian home. Maybe you don't believe in God. Maybe you aren't conservative. Maybe you don't really know what you believe. But No matter what you believe, I want you to know that you are welcome here. Because whether you believe me or not, I want us to go on this journey together. We are going to dive into God's word. We are going to dive into current events and news headlines. We are going to dive into politics. We're going to dive into law. We are going to dive into all of these things to come to conclusions about the issues of our day. We are going to talk about a little bit of everything: politics, faith, culture, lifestyle. We're going to cover it all. And I'm so excited to go on this journey with you. Maybe you aren't in Gen Z. You know what? I would love for you to join me. I want everyone of all ages to feel welcome here as we pursue truth. Because no matter what we have been taught for decades in this postmodernist age, truth exists. We can know truth and we can share that truth. And that is what we are going to do on this show. So before we close, I want to ask each of you to please share with me questions you might have or topics you would like me to cover on this show, because I want you to benefit from this show. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode of Amelia Proclaims Liberty. I look forward to seeing you next time.